In this verse, the Lord is addressed as Keshava because he killed the demon Keshi in the beginning of creation. Keshava is another name of Krishna. Krishna is the origin of all incarnations and is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita that Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, exists simultaneously in a different incarnation and expansions. The demon's attempt to measure the Supreme Personality of Godhead is significant. The demon wanted to embrace him with his arms, thinking that with his limited arms he could capture the Absolute by material power. He did not know that God is greatest of the great and the smallest of the small. No one can capture the Supreme Lord or bring him under his control. But the demoniac persons always attempt to measure the length and the breadth of the Supreme Lord. By his inconceivable potency, the Lord can become the universal form as explained in the Bhagavad Gita, and at the same time he can remain within the box of his devotees as his worshipable deity. There are many devotees who keep a statue of the Lord in a small box and carry it with them everywhere. Every morning they worship the Lord in the box. The Supreme Lord, Keshava, or the Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is not bound by any measurement of our calculation. He can remain with his devotee in any suitable form, yet he is unapproachable by any amount of demoniac activities. So this chapter named The Killing of Demon Hiranyaksha, and here we are seeing that how in the fight between the demon and the Lord, finally the demon is getting defeated. When the demon saw his magic forces dispelled, all his powers, all his whatever ammunition he had, he tried everything to defeat the Lord. Finally, when he came in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Keshava, full of rage, as a last attempt, he wanted to embrace him, but with a different intention. Out of rage, he wanted to embrace him with his arm in order to crush him, so that he can embrace the Lord and embrace so tightly that the Lord is crushed and killed. But to his amazement, when he tried doing that, when he embraced the Lord tightly in order to crush him, to his great amazement, he found the Lord standing outside the circle of his arms. So Prabhupada in the purport explains that the Lord has inconceivable potencies. He is smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest, finer than the finest. When the demon wanted to embrace him with his arm, thinking that with his limited arms he could capture the Absolute by his material prowess, powers, he did not know that God is greater than the greatest and smallest of all the small. So as we become devotees, we become aware of the magnanimity of the Lord. How Lord is so glorious, His wonderful qualities. And when devotees hear that, they rejoice. Their appreciation of the Lord, their devotion to the Lord, love for the Lord increases. Because to be a devotee, one fundamental requisite is anusuyave. Although as conditioned souls, still we may have an enjoying tendency, still we may have different anarthas, but a very fundamental step which all of us have taken is to agree that we are subordinate to the Lord. We want to serve the Lord. Our conditioning might force us to act in different ways. We may act otherwise. Our actions may exhibit that we still have lauding tendency, we still have enjoying tendency, but fundamentally, yes, we accept Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. He is the enjoyer, He is the proprietor, He is the Lord, He is the Master, He is the Supreme Controller. Whereas demons don't accept that. They want to exert their own supremacy, and that's what here Hiranyaksha is exhibiting, even to the extent of killing the Lord. They don't realize that one cannot capture the absolute, the Supreme Lord, by their material prowess. Even Ravana, out of his tapasya, wanted to achieve so much of power. Hiranyakashipu. These are all demoniac tendencies. With little common sense, we can understand that Lord is our maintainer. Everything we have actually belongs to the Lord. Even we have got birth from our parents. Actually, they were instrumental in giving us birth. They are not the ultimate cause. The entire material energy is moving under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. Maya Dhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sa Chara Charam. So devotee, when his vision becomes cleared, when he becomes enlightened, Divya Gyan Hridaya Prakashito, then he is able to recognize, realize, Swayam Eva Prakashita. What is that? Swayam Eva Hi Spurati Adaha. Pratyaksha Avagamam. It becomes Pratyaksha, it becomes very evident that he is the maintainer. He is the one who is giving us everything. These days people are talking about power failures, summers are approaching, there's not enough water in the reservoirs. Although man can make different arrangements, ultimately the final arrangement is done by the Supreme Lord. If it does not rain, you may have power plants, but it won't run. So devotees can see that, whereas demoniac make plans that how, minus the Lord, we can control things, even to the extent of keeping God out of picture. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in one of his books, mentioned about 4 kinds of good and bad people. It's very nice where he analyzes that there are 4 kinds of good people. Even although broad category is a good man or a bad man, is a devotee or is a demon, but he further classifies a devotee and a demoniac person. The first category is Mahat. We say, Mahat Sevaya. Mahat, he is a great person. And what is the quality of a Mahat? A Mahat, these all first 4 categories are of, people who have started becoming devotees, started developing good qualities. Mahat, a great person, has ability to see some good in everyone. We all know in this world we encounter different kinds of people. Some very bad people, some very wicked people, cruel people, and sometimes very charitably disposed, very pious, very good, very kind, noble souls. All kinds of people are there in this world, and sometimes it is very bewildering. A Mahat has the ability to see some good in everyone. They also perceive fault in others. Faults are also there. But they consider that these faults can eventually be transformed by certain methods into good qualities. It should be noted that Mahat will never reject or condemn a faulty person, but thinks only how that person can be benefited, can be transformed. In other words, he sees mainly the good qualities, although he is able to see the faults, but he has that confidence that by following certain process, some principles, he can be transformed. And those faults can be rectified and transformed into good qualities. Such a person who has this kind of a mentality, he focuses on the goods, he sees the fault, but he has the confidence that that can be rectified and transformed into a nice person. This is the quality of a Mahat. Higher than Mahat is Mahattara, a greater person. First is great person, Mahat. Greater person, Mahattara. A Mahattara also sees good and bad qualities in others, but focuses on and praises the good quality. He gives an example, just like a merchant. He's a materialistic person. He's, very busy transacting, making money. Typical businessman wants to increase his wealth. Now a Mahattara sees that, a businessman very enthusiastically doing business. Although he may see him as a sense gratifier, ultimately he is materialistic. He wants to make more profit for himself and enjoy the profit. But he notices that, he is treating his customers so nicely. And because he is so gentle in his dealings, he is worthy of deliverance. So in other words, he praises the good quality. Although he sees the fault, he magnifies the good qualities. Then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, even higher than Mahattara is Mahattama, especially great person, even greater than that person. A Mahattama sees whatever good qualities others have, he magnifies them, not seeing the even smallest of faults. He refuses to focus on the faults. He sees good qualities and he magnifies them. If he sees 80% good, 20% fault, he ignores that 20% and that 80% he magnifies it to 100%. In other words, he focuses only on the good. Vishwanath Chakravarti describes this attitude. This person has stolen my cloth. Suppose a devotee, we have this kind of issues in ashram. Suppose somebody has stolen the cloth which was, let's say, kept for drying. Now, one thing is you can curse the other person. He has stolen, how dare he do that? What does he think of himself? XYZ. A Mahattama, this person, what does he think? He thinks that he has stolen my cloth. Maybe it's too cold. He may want some extra piece of cloth. And forgives him. Again, we cannot imitate such qualities. We require at a vyavharik level some discipline. There's a difference between following in the footsteps, following the process and developing those qualities and imitating those qualities. There's a fine difference between the two. And the fourth category is Ati Mahatma, even higher than this Mahatma. Extremely great person. And Ati Mahatma sees good qualities in others even where there is none. Their attitude is, in this world there are no bad people. I am the only bad person in this world. Everyone else is good. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, I am worse than Jagai and Madai. I am worse than a worm in a stool. It's not just to, show or demonstrate his humility. Actually, genuinely feels. Jagai and Madai, they have good qualities. When he looks himself and he sees, I am such a fallen person. There's one quote where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked, why are you crying? He's saying, I'm making a show. He says, no, but tears are flowing from my eyes. We can see that you are immersed in love of God. He says, actually, it's just a show. It's just for cheap fame and adoration. Actually, if I really had love of God, I shouldn't be alive here minus Krishna, without Krishna. So these are all qualities which are exhibited by great exalted devotees. Prabhupada says, I have no qualification. I don't know how I'll convince them. I have no power to speak. I'm just a puppet in your hands. So, Ati Mahatma sees good qualities in others, even though they are none. Their attitude is, in this world, there are no bad people. Everyone is good except himself. Now comes the four kinds of asadhus, or demons, wicked or bad people, the first category is a sadhu, a wicked person. A sadhu sees some good qualities in others, but presumes that eventually those good qualities will be overshadowed or spoiled by some faults. In other words, he sees good, he sees bad. He sees good as temporary, knowing that because he has some faults, the faults will overpower the good qualities and eventually he'll become wicked. For example, upon seeing someone doing philanthropic activities, working for somebody else's benefit, a sadhu will think, this is just an outward show. Actually, he has some ulterior motive, he has some agenda. Suppose somebody is helping this thing, so finally somebody will even ask, what do you want? We see an ulterior motive. He has an ulterior motive. So rather than seeing that the person is helping, he is seeing the ulterior motive, focuses on that and says that actually this is all a show. A sadhutara, very wicked person. The next category is a sadhutara is even more improper. He or she only sees fault in others and overlooks other good qualities. As I mentioned here, 80-20. 80% is good, 20% is false. He ignores 80% good, focuses on 20% fault, and sees that only as the qualities available in a person. He gives an example. Let's say sannyasi is eating a feast. Let's say. Without seeing that he's a sannyasi, he's a devotee, he has surrendered his life, his devotion, his love for the Lord, he sees that he's lusty, he doesn't have control on his tongue, and very soon he'll fall down. He's a sannyasi. He's honoring prasadam. Maybe it's a feast, it's some festival. So rather than focusing on the good quality, Prabhupada was also complained by some devotees, or devotees are very pushy in the airports, they force people sometimes to the thing. So somebody wrote a letter to Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, please forgive them, at least recognize the fact that they have surrendered their lives to the Lord. They are working for the Lord, they are serving the Lord. This is very, very important even for us in our daily lives, because it all depends on what we focus on. Typically that example is given, glass half empty or half filled. Some people can focus on that it is half filled. Some people can focus on it is half empty. The next category is asadhutama, especially wicked person, very, very special wicked person. An asadhutama takes small faults and magnifies them, seeing no good qualities at all. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives an example. A sadhutama will criticize and condemn a renunciant as a bogus rascal for the fault of collecting donations. A sadhutama will conclude he has come to fleece money. He has come to somehow by hook or crook take money from us. Rather than seeing that he is a sadhu, they are begging alms. Prabhupada says in Vedic times, it is expected that the Grihasthas maintain the Brahmanas, because the Brahmanas, they are busy with Pathan, Yajan. So rather than seeing that he has come, now mind you, unfortunately in present times many people have taken advantage of the dress, but otherwise they are genuine sadhus who are dependent on the society. So rather than seeing that, he says he's a wicked rascal. Sometimes when we go out also we come across people like that. We come across all kinds of people. Some people will even touch our feet and try to offer us milk in silver cups, receive us quite well. And sometimes people will, one time I went to somebody's house. Outside on the gate it was written, "Beware of dogs." So I took a chance. Because, when you're going out, so you have to, sometimes, when you're doing Padyatra, sometimes you see a big house and you feel that probably he can be a donor. So and many times we all know that beware of dog is written, but dog is not there inside. So I took a chance, opened the door, went inside, and the person immediately seeing me entering, there was a dog tied in the room somewhere to some. He opened the chain and let the dog on me. Dog immediately started, started barking and I had to just rush out of the house. So there are people like that who will, as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, rather than seeing that some devotee has come, okay, you can always tell that, no, I'm not interested. But focusing on that these people have come to cheat me and, throw them out. Ati Asudatama, extremely wicked person, the fourth category. Ati Asadutama sees fault in all others, even though there are no faults. In this world or in society, there is no one good. Everyone is wicked, except me. They're all worse. Sometimes devotees also come to the conclusion, everyone here is bad. So the example we remember, the Dhritarashtra and, Duryodhana and Yudhishthira Maharaj. They were all sent. Duryodhana came back saying that there is no one more having better qualities than me. Yudhishthira Maharaj comes back and says, there is no one more wicked than me. All have so many good qualities. I have come back convinced that I am the most wicked of all of them. So this is some indicator for us to analyze where we are. And no doubt as we become devotees, naturally we'll develop these good qualities. We cannot artificially imitate, from tomorrow onwards I will follow this fourth category. Suddenly people will also say, what happened to you? It will be artificial, it won't stay for long. So when we follow this process, Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Bhajan Kriya Anartha Nivritti Syat, all these good qualities automatically will manifest. So here Prabhupada in the purport mentions that this demon, although the Lord was right in front of him, just like in the battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord was there, but many people could not recognize Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Duryodhana himself wanted to fight. Didn't wanted the Lord, wanted his army. So in this world, there are demoniac people with demoniac mentalities, there are devotees, there are people who want to kill the Lord, and there are people who want to glorify the Lord, become better servants of the Lord, subordinate to the Lord, surrender to the Lord. So Prabhupada says that although the Lord is so kind, so magnanimous, so great, on one side He shows His universal form, He can become bigger than the biggest. The other side, He can agree to be captured by the devotee in a box. There are many devotees who keep a statue of the Lord in a small box and carry it with them everywhere. Every morning they worship the Lord in the box. The Lord is so kind and so merciful. Bhavagrahi Janardana, where He sees devotion, He can be present in a small box. And if the devotion is not there, bhava is not there, love is not there, you may even have, very big temples. We see many times big temples, but they are not properly maintained. The pujari is there, he has no interest. It's just a job for him. So the Lord, the main ingredient, what He is looking for from all of us is the love. And He agrees to be captured by the devotee if we express our love. Whereas on the other hand, it may be very, very powerful, just like here demons is there. He has mighty arms. He can inundate the earth inside the water, but then he is not able to capture the Lord. He tries to squeeze the Lord, embrace the Lord and kill the Lord. Next moment the Lord is outside. So it's very unfortunate in present times we see this demoniac tendencies. Just a few days back somebody shared an article that in a particular country about 95% of the people are now atheists. They don't believe in God. And the number has increased when compared to 5 years back or 10 years back. We are living in a very, very materialistic world where people, again Krishna has its own Leela as time progresses. Because of the intense desire to lord over material nature, Krishna also sanctions to some extent. And people with all this material advancement, they perceive that yes, now we are in control of things. To some extent they are able to see that, the lot of things, the data they can analyze, they can control the outcomes, they can plan and execute the plans and make the required profits. They are trying to make some formula. If you follow the formula, this will be the desired results. Nothing but lauding tendency. 5 factors of action, Krishna says, the ultimate, the chief is the super soul. That is completely out of the equation. So this demoniac mentality eventually, although we may control for a while, we may aggrandize, we may become wealthy, we may accumulate some riches, but ultimately Krishna says, finally, even if we don't surrender to the Lord, we don't recognize the Lord, finally, mrityu harvas chaham, sarva haras chaham. Finally, everyone has to surrender at the point of death. Even that demoniac people are not able to recognize. That's why everyone is so busy accumulating wealth, making properties, more and more, gratifying the senses. It's very unfortunate. One time there was a wealthy man, he was sitting in the balcony and he saw there was an ant crossing the balcony from one side of the balcony to the other side. So he was very carefully noticing this ant, and this ant, I'm sure all of us have watched, they also have intelligence. If you try to put a hand, obstruct the path, they will turn left, turn right, somehow try to evade. Immediately they're able to sense there's an obstacle. All that's so small, so insignificant, it has some analytical skills. It can sense there's a danger. You put a hand, it will turn left. You put hand there also, it will turn the other side. If you keep hand, it will start moving fast. It will turn back. It senses that now somebody is obstructing path either ways. So this person was carefully observing and he was really amazed that such a tiny creature is having the ability to comprehend, analyze, explore, to some extent predict danger. It would make twists and turns and keep moving. And that ant was carrying some kind of a leaf. Then comes in the floor a very big crack. Must be an old house. So there was a very big crack. Imagine the crack was there and this ant is some 1 or 2 millimeter long. Imagine the crack is say 8 mm. No way this ant could have crossed the crack. So this person became a little more curious to understand what will the ant do now. Because if you obstruct, you can go left, you can go right. Now there's an 8 mm crack and this ant is just 1 mm or 2 mm, what will the ant do? He was curious to know. The ant came, sensed that there is a crack, there is an obstruction. It was carrying a leaf. It placed the leaf on the crack, climbed on the leaf, reached the other side of the crack, picked the leaf and started cutting. The man was amazed that so much intelligence they have. When the army, when the attack happens or something, there's a team of army engineers who are trained to make some makeshift bridges and all that. When you have something ravines or some valley or something like, they can make the makeshift so that army can march on. So that much intelligence this ant has. He was amazed. Finally the ant was carrying that leaf, and finally he was keenly observing. It reached the other end of the balcony and he saw there was a small hole, and it was quite obvious that that is the place where the ant stays. So the ant reached that hole, and all along from the other side of the balcony it had carried that leaf. So the ant wanted to go inside the hole with the leaf. So ant, somehow he could make out that, trying somehow to take the leaf inside. But at one point of time it became evident for the ant that you cannot take it in. So finally the ant, just after a few shots, because it was an intelligence is there, could sense that it's not possible. He left the leaf and went inside the house. So the person who's written this story says that although ant is very intelligent, it shares lot of qualities what we human beings have. Our analytical skills, comprehension power, ability to sense danger, to plan, to accumulate things, to think about our future. All these qualities even ant has. Even it plans for its future, it accumulates food. But it shares one anomaly or one characteristic with the human beings. We accumulate so much, finally we don't recognize that when the end point comes, we have to leave it. We can't carry it with us. We have to leave and go. Now this is a very, very important point, why we should be very, very serious in our spiritual practices. Because all our material accomplishments, no matter how smart, how shrewd, how intelligent we are in accumulating these things, it all will be remain behind. Mrityu sarva haraschaham. Finally, what we carry with us, nate vidu swarth gatim hi vishnum, our spiritual assets. The spiritual assets what we have accumulated. That's why time and again our scriptures, acharyas point out, Turnam yatet anapatet anumrityu yavan. Before we again fall into the clutches of death, let's Turnam, quickly, there's a sense of eagerness, let's accumulate more and more of spiritual assets. Because these are the assets which we will carry with us, which the soul, Atma will carry with us. Otherwise, no matter how big leaf, how much property we have on our back, it's just a burden. Will be left behind. So here the demon is exhibiting that kind of a quality. He wants to even crush the Lord, be the Lord, not recognizing that one day he'll be vanquished. So we'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.